Hi, my name's Kim J and I'm a volunteer for RNIB. I'm also a visually impaired chef. Now today I'm going to make lamb kebabs. Now most of us have had lamb kebabs and they are very easy to make, very versatile, and you can make a vegetarian version. Now I've also written 2 recipe books called A Sense of Cooking and A Taste of Spice. You'll find the lamb kebabs in A Taste of Spice, with all profits going to RNIB. Now the ingredients we need today is a handful of chopped coriander, approximately 450 grams of lean lamb mince. You can use beef if you want, and for those sort of vegetarians I would substitute that with about 6 corn fillets, which you chop up in the food processor and mince. You also need salt, chili powder, black pepper or garam masala depending on your tastes, turmeric powder, cumin seeds, 1 small onion, approximately 2 or 3 green chilies according to taste, and 3 cloves of garlic, and you'll need about 5 slices of bread. And those are the ingredients for lamb kebabs. Now the first thing I'm going to do is, with the slices of bread, I'm going to make breadcrumbs. Now I'm going to put it into a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, not a problem. Chop the bread up as finely as you can get it, and you need to blitz it down. Now some of you might think, oh, we'll use dried breadcrumbs. It doesn't work as well. Fresh breadcrumbs will soak up the fat and the moisture in the lamb and help to bind it even better. So I'm going to blitz this down to fine breadcrumbs. Now here comes a fun bit. I always love making kebabs because it's so tactile, and for somebody with very little sight it is really easy to do. Now in a big mixing bowl, add your lamb mince and just break it up gently. Now you are handling raw meat here, so make sure that when you're finished you wash your hands thoroughly. Now I've chopped up the onions, the chilies and the garlic into fine pieces, as well as the coriander chopped up quite finely. If you struggle to do the chopping, use a food processor or ask somebody. Now put all of those ingredients, so that's the green chilies, the garlic, the onions and the coriander, into the lamb mix and give it a bit of a stir. Now for vegetarians and vegans this is really good. Like I said, switch the lamb mince to the vegan or vegetarian corn fillets. If you want, you can use soya, although I've used soya before and I prefer the corn fillets. And again with the bread, just switch to a vegan bread. Now I've given it a bit of a stir and I'm going to get the cumin seeds. Now cumin seeds are used in a lot of Asian cooking. It smells woody and earthy, and for those of you that have very little sight, keep smelling your spices, get used to them, and that way you can easily recognise them. Now I'm going to put approximately a teaspoon of cumin seeds in there. Now into this mixture I am now going to put salt, about a teaspoon of salt, and red chili powder. Now it's up to you, you've already got green chilies in there, so it's up to you to decide how much chilies you want to put in there. Now I like it hot, so I'm going to put in approximately a teaspoon of red chili powder. Into that I'm going to put garam masala or black pepper. Now I prefer black pepper in this rather than garam masala. Garam masala has quite a kick to it, so when you're serving this to friends who aren't used to spices, black pepper is a lot kinder than the kick that you get from garam masala, but you can substitute garam masala. Now I'm going to put about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon's worth of it in there. The next thing I'm going to put into that mixture is turmeric. Turmeric, for those who have got colour, is bright yellow. And if you smell it, it is a very distinctive smell. It's kind of deep and sort of very pungent. It is extremely healthy for you as well. It's a great anti-inflammatory, detoxer, great for coughs and colds. Right, that goes into the mixture, and you just give it a quick mix. Now I've done that. Now I'm going to put the breadcrumbs in. Now the amount of breadcrumbs you put in depends on the leanness of your mince. So if it's a fatty mince, you will need a little bit more breadcrumbs, and if it isn't, then less. Right, now I always use my hands in this. It is a lot much firmer, and what you're doing is you're binding and you're squeezing that lamb mince to get it thoroughly mixed and get all those spices into that kebab. Now, a wonderful trick of knowing whether or not you put enough breadcrumbs in, bearing in mind breadcrumbs is used to bind this lamb mince into kebabs, is if you take a small handful and you squeeze it. And when you squeeze it, what you're left with is it's soft, but it's binding together and it's holding. Now, if quite a bit of it is breaking apart, put in more breadcrumbs. If it's too hard, just loosen it up with a little bit of water, not too much. And that's it. So you've just mixed it all together. And now I'm going to wash my hands before I go to the next step. Now I'm going to form the mince mixture into kebabs. What you get is a small handful of the mince, and you literally just keep squeezing it for about 10-15 seconds and then form it into a sausage shape. Now it's up to you to decide how big you want it. When I have parties, I use little cocktail type ones, and when I have dinner parties, I use bigger ones. They're great for starters, for snacks, for main course. Now the one that I've just made is approximately about 1 3/4 inches long and about half an inch thick. And you keep on just making them and squeezing them. Now with this amount of mixture, you do get quite a bit left over. So what do I do with the ones that are left over? I freeze them. So you freeze them raw, and then whenever you want them, just pull them out, thaw it out and put it in the oven. Now I've put the oven on. The oven's been on for about 15 minutes, and I'm going to put the kebabs in at 180 degrees C, gas mark 6, for approximately 30 minutes. Now halfway through, so around the 15-minute mark, just turn the kebabs. If the kebabs are fatted, there will be fat at the bottom of the tray. It's fine, leave that for the time being and just cook it. And what you need is a sort of a dark golden brown. I've pulled the kebabs out of the oven and they are sort of a dark brown, and if you tap it, there's a slight, you can feel it's soft, but there's a slight crisp sound to it. Now what am I going to serve this with? You can serve it in a pita, in wraps with some salad, a bit of chutney, a bit of hot sauce. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of show you how to make a really quick cheese mint sauce, mint jelly. Now you need, I've got in a small dish, I've got about 3 tablespoons of Greek yogurt. Into that I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of mint jelly. This is so easy and so delicious. About 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and if you want, 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, the same of black pepper, and about 1/4 teaspoon of cumin seeds, and mix it all together. Now mint, as we all know, goes really well with lamb. Now I've mixed it up, and I'm going to add coriander. Just a small handful of coriander. Have a taste of the chutney. Perfect. The right amount of heat with the right amount of coolness. And you serve that with your kebabs. Now you have a recipe for a great dish. But when you're in the kitchen, there are certain safety guides and rules that you should adhere to, and which keeps you safe. Now, one of the things that I do before I start cooking is I make sure that I've got shoes on that are sturdy with good grips. I make sure that there's nothing on the floor that I can trip over, and there are no spillages or liquid or condensation on the floor that makes it a bit of a hazard. Now, before cooking, the first thing that you do, as we all know, is wash our hands thoroughly. And especially when you're dealing with raw meat at every stage, wash your hands thoroughly. It stops cross-contamination. It keeps you and your family safe. When you're using the oven and the hob, know your oven and hob really well. Now, I use tactile markings so that I know exactly what temperature to put the oven on and what setting, so that I've not put the grill on when I should be putting the oven on. Now, with the hob, whenever you're sort of putting anything on the hob, make sure the handle is not sticking out. Now, I like to keep the handle at approximately 10 to 12. And the reason for that is it's not near enough to the unit for you to accidentally knock it off. It is not over another hob which may be on, so the handle's getting hot. So this is the safest position. Now, if you're boiling anything, be very, very careful. Don't fill the pan up too much. And if possible, use the boiler alert, which tells you when that liquid is bubbling away and it's hot, and it keeps you safe. If you're not comfortable with the hob and the oven, use the microwave whenever you can. It's a lot safer. And every time you are taking things out of the oven or from the microwave, because remember, plates and dishes get extremely hot in the microwave, use oven gloves. Now, I like to use thermal oven gloves. They're a lot safer. Don't be tempted to use tea towels or anything else. And they literally go to extreme temperatures, so you're very safe with them. Whenever you cut any food in the kitchen, use safe cutting methods. Keep the blade away from your fingers, so set it a couple of millimeters away from your fingers, and that way you're safe all the time. Now, if you're not confident with a knife, you can use appliances like food processors. Make sure you know how they work properly, and keep safe. And if you're still not confident, ask somebody else to do it. It is better to be safe than have an injury. If you have any cuts or you cut yourself whilst you're in the kitchen, put a plaster on it. And if you have a burn, run it under cold water. And if it's bad, you seek medical advice straight away. Whenever you cook meat, always ensure that the meat is thoroughly cooked, because you know, raw meat will give you food poisoning. Now, the best optimum temperature to cook meat is between 66 degrees and 73 degrees. Use a food thermometer if you're not too sure. They do have talking food thermometers, which you can get quite easily. And you store the meat as soon as you can. As soon as it's cooled down, store it straight away in the fridge and read the advice on storage on the labels.